embrace.
And there you go, ULM in the Bunker Club, now here in our Bank Plus studio. The Troy Trojans, head coach Chanda Rigby and Felmas Koranga, the Player of the Year in the Sun Belt Conference. You guys picked to win the conference championship again. You went 13-2 in the regular season last year. Congratulations on all that. Regular season champions, you beat Mississippi State along the way, got to the final of the Sun Belt tournament, lost to UT Arlington. Kind of reflect back on last season and what you were able to accomplish, and then you played Alabama in the WNIT at your place, heartbreaking loss, and kind of what you left on the table as well.
Yeah, so we're always trying to do new things that people don't expect us to do, right? They don't think we can do. So last year our saying was, it's only impossible till somebody does it. And we really had our heart set on winning another championship and getting back to the NCAA tournament. But we were also proud and pleased to get to play in the WNIT tournament. But this year, we do impossible as our hashtag. We do impossible. So we're just striving for new things. It meant a lot last year. That, like you mentioned, the Mississippi State win. Not only did we win that, but I believe we set a rebounding record there on them against some great rebounders there. But yeah, so we have some unfinished business left on the table. That's not nearly where we want to stop, is losing in the WNIT tournament. So we're excited for the new year to be so close.
Felmas, hashtag we do impossible. What does that mean to you as a player?
We do the things that people think they cannot be done. And we go for it, and we're proud of that.
You know, you've had 4 consecutive 20-win seasons. You've won the championship 5 of the next, or the last 7, I should say. What's the next step for the program? What's the next step in the evolution of the program to get to make that the bar, the consistent bar and the standard?
Well, at Troy Women's Basketball, we're trying to do the impossible, and we're trying to win a national championship. And I think the same amount of people are going to laugh at me for saying that as did when we came in a few years ago to Troy. The RPI was 470, 347 out of 349 teams. We were second to last. So people laugh when we said we were going to win Sun Belt championships.
So you've done a lot of impossible things already.
That's exactly right.
So Felmas was NCAA D2 junior college transfer of the year. That sounds like great recruiting to me. So tell us about Felmas and how you brought her into the program. You see kind of her resume right here, very impressive. Newcomer of the year last year, twice she's been all Sun Belt, played for Kenya, first female player born in Kenya to play D1 basketball. So kind of tell us, and then we'll get Felmas to tell us her story, but how you found her.
So I cannot take credit for that. It's my assistant coaches, and my recruiting coordinator is Courtney Simmons. She's the best in the business. And she found her. We had already signed another All-American from the junior college where she came from. Trina Tillis-Hort is the head coach there at Tyler Junior College in Texas, and they won a national championship this year. So they have a good history there. But we had, again, she's our second All-American to come from that one junior college. We do a lot of recruiting out there in Texas, and I'll let her tell the story. But all I know is it's a blessing to have her with us at Troy.
So Felmas, how did you find basketball at Troy?
Like she said, I don't know how they found me. I was out there and I saw the two of my coaches, Coach Rigby, Coach Simmons and Coach Graff, and that's how it all started. The next thing I know is we bonded well, connected well, and I found myself here at Troy.
It's an amazing story and a long way from home. Played for Kenya internationally. You're the first female player born in Kenya to play D1 basketball. That sounds pretty big to me. Sounds like a gigantic accomplishment. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to your family?
Actually, not only to my family, but every other kid out there aspiring to play Division I or college basketball. It doesn't matter what level, because once you make it out of the country and you get a scholarship, that's a big accomplishment. And like I said, not only for me and my family, but it gives other people hope that you can make something out of yourself outside.
So it sounds like your family is very proud of you, but if your family is kind of like my family, they never tell you that. You come from a family of 9 brothers and sisters and parents, long way from home. How difficult has that been for you in your journey to be separated from such a large family to come to the States and play ball?
That was the hardest part, coping with the lifestyle and culture down here did not take long. It took a couple of months, I would say probably 2 or 3, because people were welcoming. They are welcoming. But my family had to play the bigger role of calling me every day, every night, talk to me for 3 hours. I just had to make it, because if they didn't do that, I don't know, I'd probably be home.
You'd get homesick, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be totally understandable. So you had to make her part of your family too. So Troy
Absolutely.
also had a big role in this, because she's separated from her family. You can tell she's very close to them.
Absolutely.
So you had to bring her into her family and make her feel home.
She is
right?
part of the family. And you had asked us questions about the recruiting, and I'm going to tie this in with her family. It was over COVID, and we were talking to her over a Zoom and recruiting, and she wanted to commit to us. All the coaches were on. She was on in Texas, and she wanted to commit to us, but she said she didn't want to do it without her dad being there or on the Zoom. And I think he had about 2 hours or 3 hours till they woke up to go to work. So we stayed on the phone all night. I think we stayed on the phone all night. We stayed on the phone until her dad could get on the phone and get that commitment out of her. It was a great day.
What did that mean to you, to have that kind of commitment from them, to say, you know what, we'll call back in 3 hours or whatever? They didn't want to chance it. They wanted to make sure they stayed on the phone with you and completed this commitment from you to come to play for Troy.
Actually, it showed me that it was more than just basketball.
Yeah.
They were willing to go over and beyond to get me, and that's how I knew that it was the right place.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's been a great partnership. Talking about recruiting, Jashante Simmons, you bring her in, 3-time All-American from Georgia Highlands, 17.7 rebounds per game last year at the junior college level, and she's already all-conference before she's even played in a Troy uniform in an official game. So, kind of your thoughts on what she brings to the table this year.
Again, I have the nicest kids you'll never see such good basketball players that are so nice. Felmas is nice, and Jashante is the nicest person you will ever meet, and she's the first 3-time All-American that I've ever recruited. She was All-American her freshman year at Georgia Highlands, and she was 2-time All-American WBCA and NJCAA this past year. She's a very quiet, tender-hearted, passive person. We signed her early. We kept going back and watching her and thinking, now, is this going to be a Troy player? She's so nice. She's helping people up. She's shaking people's hands. We need her to be a dog. But you know what? I learned something. After 30 years of coaching, you can be super nice and get it done, because that girl really gets it done. She's been one of the best we've had every day in practice this year since we started practicing this season.
That's great. How about also, you lost a lot of great players from last year's team, and you have great players coming back. Sharonica Hartsfield is one of those. I would imagine she would be a top candidate to replace Jasmine Robinson as your playmaker.
Yeah, so Sharonica got plenty of playing time last year. She started probably about half of our games. And so she and Felmas are the 2 returners with important and a good amount of playing time. So we really have not a young team, because we have a lot of transfers and junior college players, but we're young together. And we have a very challenging schedule coming up early. I think we're going to be a really good team. The question is how soon can we be good? Because we have a tough schedule, a long way to go, and a short time to get there. So as soon as we finish up with this press conference, we're going to go be working on that.
Start working on it right now. Actually, here's a look at your schedule. This is your conference schedule, but I want to hit the non-conference schedule too, because that plays a big role in getting you ready for this. What we're looking at right now includes UCLA and BYU, Arkansas. The BYU comes in there in the non-conference, and that's a trip to Hawaii, by the way. Arkansas is also non-conference after you get back from Hawaii. And then you got tough mid-majors, Tulane, Mercer, Belmont. And then it's conference play with Southern Miss and Texas State to lead things off.
Right. So we are really trying to, as a whole conference, we're trying to get our net score in a better place, conference-wide, but us as well, because we know what it's like to get to the NCAA tournament and have a 15th seed or a low seed, and the odds are pretty tough. So, we're trying to get there again, but we're trying to have a better seed. The way you do that is with a great net score and have great competition and great games in great competition.
Well, we could sit here and talk all day. It's been a fun conversation. You guys are wanted now in the Bunker Club, so we're going to send you there. And when we come back, ULM is going to join us right here in the Bank Plus studio. Thanks a lot, Coach,
Thank you so
and
much.
Felmas, for being with us.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us here as we continue on with Sunbelt Conference Women's Basketball Media Days. It is Media Days because the men will join us tomorrow for day 2. We are at the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans. That's a good look at the Bunker Club right now. The Troy Trojans, who we just visited with, head coach Chanda Rigby and Felmas Koranga, the player of the year in the conference, are headed down there now. And ULM is going to join us here in the Bank Plus studios coming up in the moments ahead. Here's a look at the preseason women's basketball poll. It's led off by Troy, overwhelming favorite to win it. 12 of the 14 first place votes for the team that went 13-2 in the conference a year ago. Old Dominion comes in from Conference USA. They pick up a first place vote, and they finished second in the balloting. Louisiana, regular season champions 2 years ago, check in at number 3, followed by Southern Miss, who also comes in from Conference USA. Texas State with a boatload of returning talent, including all-conference Denisha Hood, is going to check in at number 5. They'll be a force to be reckoned with their veteran leadership. A lot of super seniors on that team. James Madison, we just spoke to Coach O'Regan a few moments ago. They are picked to finish 6th in the conference. They come in from the very tough Colonial Athletic Association. Georgia Southern at the halfway point, they picked up the other one first place vote. They're number 7. And then you go App State, Arkansas State, and some of the teams we have not yet heard from. Marshall, Georgia State, they're coming up in the moments ahead. Coastal Carolina, South Alabama still on deck here in the Bank Plus studios, and ULM also on deck. And we'll be joined by the Warhawks in just a moment. Now back to the Bunker Club, and now let's hear again from the Troy Trojans.
Welcome back to Sunbelt Conference Basketball Media Days. We're now joined by the Troy Trojans. Coach Chanda Rigby is in her 11th year as head coach of the Trojans, and also joined by student athlete Felmas Koranga, senior forward from Nakuru, Kenya. We'll begin with opening remarks from Coach Rigby, and then we will take questions for both Coach Rigby and for Felmas. Coach, if you would, please give us an opening statement.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. First of all, I would like to thank the Sunbelt Conference for having this media day and putting our women's basketball athletes and programs in the spotlight. Sunbelt Conference is doing an awful lot for us, from raising the standard for our championship tournament. They're doing a great job in Pensacola for us there in that atmosphere, as well as trying to help us find best practices to conference-wide, have a better net score. So we're thankful, and I'm very proud today to represent the Sunbelt Conference, just like I'm proud to represent Troy University. Appreciate them. Again, this is my 11th year there, and it keeps getting better and better, so I appreciate the opportunity to represent Troy today. November 3rd coming up, we have our tip-off banquet. Our athletic director, Brent Jones, put that in place for us when he became athletic director. It's a fundraiser. It's a nice event. It's a plated dinner event. And every year that we've had it, the women's basketball team has received their championship rings at that event. And this year we're not. Not that we're not getting rings. We will get rings at another date from what we accomplished last year. But we're not getting rings at that event. And it sets the precedent that we have a new team this year. We have 2 players that played significant minutes last year. We have a whole new team. We haven't won a single game yet. We want to start. Of course, we have the tradition behind us now of winning 5 championships in 7 years. We have that tradition like a river flowing behind us, but we have to prove what we have to prove. It's like Nick Saban says, winning takes what it takes, and you can't borrow it from last year. And so we're trying to prove something new this year. We have great players, though. It's not like the cupboards are bare. We have great players. We have 5 players that have returned, and we have a lot of great new players. A lot of people talk about my teams and say, we never have freshmen or we always have junior college players, but I just want to talk about the balance that we do have on the team this year because I think it's important. We do have 4 players that we signed out of high school on our roster. We have 4 players that we got out of the transfer portal, and the other 7 are junior college transfers. Of course, my background is from coaching junior college. I have a natural akin and affinity for working with those types of players. I have a lot of connections with their coaches. So that's the makeup of our team. They come from all countries. We have a lot of different countries, a lot of different backgrounds. is kind of a melting pot on our team, and we love it that way. Just like Troy University is the International University of Alabama. It's a great place to learn. Our bus is a great place to learn. As we travel down the road, we learn from each other. Our motto this year, our hashtag is "We Do Impossible." That's what we strive to do every day. I'm sure Felmas will talk about that, but that is our culture, is leaning on each other, believing each other to set really high goals, and when other people kind of snicker at our goals because they sound too big, we support each other, not only emotionally, but in pushing each other to work hard towards what we want to accomplish. And I think that's the magic in our program, that and having great players and a great staff. We could not be more excited about this season. Again, it's not just like last year, I felt like I could almost predict a little bit what was going to happen at the beginning of the year because I'd had those players for so long. We had 8 seniors. This year, I can't really predict out of the gate how it's going to be, but I think it's going to end up great.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now take questions for Coach Rigby and for senior forward Felmas Koranga, and we do have a question on Zoom, and this is, Coach, this is for you. New additions in the league, ODU and JMU, have a history of success similar to your program. How do you see those teams fitting into the league race?
Well, first of all, they are automatically rising. We're rising in this conference, and they are helping us rise. Of course, I see it as a threat to winning. I mean, of course, but that's what you want. We want the Sun Belt Conference to be as strong as possible. Look what's going on the football side. Everybody's got, the Sun Belt Conference has the attention of everybody in college football right now, and that's what we're pushing for in women's basketball. And these new teams that come into the conference are only helping with that. They're great teams. They all bring their own form of greatness. With Old Dominion, their defense, just all of them are really strong additions.
Felmas, how will it be to have all these new teams in the league?
I think it's a good thing because it adds on top of what we used to play, more teams to play, different experiences, get to play new people that you haven't played before. So I think it's a great experience, and we as Troy are looking forward to it.
A question for Coach. Coach, you won the regular season and won those 11 in a row at the end of the year, but did that loss to UTA and then the WNIT, did it leave sort of a bitter taste in your mouth?
Yes, definitely unfinished business. There's no way to go back and reclaim those, and that's a good lesson within itself. Even if you come back and you have a great year and accomplish everything you want in the new year, you can never kind of really go back and redo those. So that's a good lesson within itself. But it's not really about like revenge or kind of a chip on my shoulder about that. It's about new things to accomplish and new goals that we're setting forward. So we are sad about not representing Troy in a better way through those wins. We fell a little bit short, but it's a new year, and that's what's great about it.
Felmas, do you use that as motivation going into this year?
Yes, losing to UTA in the conference championship game was a lesson. And we took that lesson, and I took that lesson personally to carry it on, and also use it as a teaching point to the new players, something that we can look back to and make corrections out of.
Coach, you made the comment yesterday, I think you won't find a more humble preseason player of the year than Felmas. Can you speak to that?
I really feel like you should just turn the camera off and put it on her. She has so many lessons. She's a walking life lesson because she's so humble, because she's so smart. She's a reader. She's the leader on our team in grade point average. She's a character person. She could teach any of us and all of us about just about being humble, and she's so great at everything she does. But even though she's way up here in everything she does, in the way she treats others and the way she projects herself, it's here. She puts herself last. It's part of her faith. And so that is really a central point of our team, that we have this example to follow, others first. I'm not in the spotlight, you're in the spotlight. Those are the kind of things that she portrays, and that probably answers a lot of questions about how we could continue our success, is when you have leaders like this.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because you talk about you don't want to rest on the tradition necessarily, but, a lot of schools have successful teams, but you've really built a successful program. How important is that consistency over time?
Thank you. Well, it has to be consistent because it's not, we're trying to teach the young women in our program, it's not what we do, it's who we are. Champions are who we are. So we don't want circumstances to be our identity. We want an overall atmosphere of being champions to permeate our program and our circumstances. And we cause the effect, not other things affect us. So thank you for that compliment. We have been blessed with a lot of winning in the past few years. And thank you. But yes, we just try to keep it consistent because it's who we are.
Felmas, can you speak to your reaction to being named the preseason player of the year and what it meant to you?
I would say that it's humbling because this conference has a lot of good players that deserve the same honor. So yes, it's humbling, and I'm grateful and thankful to everybody that voted and to those that nominated me, including you.
Can you speak to, Coach talked about the impact that you've had on your team and your teammates, and how important is that to you, and you know, your focus every day in trying to help make them better as people, as teammates, those kinds of things?
I don't have a lot of words for that because how I portray myself is how I believe they will portray themselves. If I give a good energy, a welcoming heart, they are going to do that not only now but to other players. Well, I'm graduating. I'm almost done, but they will do the same thing. They will pass it on. They will pass it on to other people. If I give them a negative energy, if I do not go hard in practice, they will do the same thing. If she's not doing this, then it's okay. We are not going to do it either. So it's really important that I send the right message each and every day.
Question for Coach. There have been some coaches already this morning that have talked about playing at a high tempo. Well, you're the poster child for playing at an up tempo. Do people realize how difficult that is to try to coach and to try to play that style?
Well, to me, it's the most fun way to play basketball. That originated out of when I came to Troy. Chancellor Hawkins was building a new arena, Trojan Arena. It's one of the finest places to play basketball in the nation, in my opinion. And again, the program was second to last in the nation in RPI and last in scoring the amount of points that were last. So in trying to come from a junior college head coach with no Division I experience to be a Division I coach, I was trying to talk my way in the door, and that's one thing I told him is we were going to be exciting before we got good. And if you'd give me the job, you know, we would put up a lot of points and fill up Trojan Arena. And so that was a commitment to him from the beginning. And that is, to your question, yes, it is hard for teams to prepare for that because even if all week a coach says we're going to run back in transition defense or we're going to send everybody back in transition defense, first of all, that helps us with our rebounding. We're number one in the nation in rebounding for 3 years, and people don't understand how much our pace helps with rebounding because people have to get back instead of going to the boards. But they might do that 1 or 2 plays or 1 or 2 quarters, but it's really hard. If you keep attacking and you keep the defense on their heels, constantly having to guard a hard drive to the goal, full court for 92 feet, 94 feet, whatever, it's hard to do that, and it's hard to practice for that. Again, you can practice for it for a play or for a couple of quarters, but for the entire game, it becomes challenging.